Ivanka, New Year, Paris, The Looking Glass. Let's get into it. Ivanka posts a series of photos from Paris, standing on top of the Eiffel Tower, looking through this telescope thing, standing in front of a giant clock in an all black outfit. Mona Lisa with Jared having lunch or breakfast outside. So I looked into it and it hit me because Q just took photos of the Eiffel Tower a couple weeks before that. So I'm thinking, all right, there's got to be something here. So then it hit me. The book, A Race Around the World. Let me read a little bit of this for you. In 1889, New York reporter Nellie Bly, inspired by Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, began a circumnavigation she hoped to complete in less time. Her trip was sponsored by her employer, The World. Just hours after her ship set out across the Atlantic, another New York publication put writer Elizabeth Bisland on a westbound train. Bisland was heading around the world in the opposite direction, thinking she could beat Bly's time. Only one woman could win the race, but both completed their journeys in record time. So record time, you got Ivanka standing in front of the clock, right? So that's I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. But what drew me to the book was what they were wearing. And if you look at what Ivanka's wearing on top of the Eiffel Tower, she's wearing the exact same jacket as the character in the book, A Race Around the World. And behind her on the covers, they have a picture, or a clock behind these characters, and they're literally trying to beat time. So, Looking Glass, time, you've got this anomaly with this coincidence of the jacket. But now you open up the book. Now let's flip to some pages in the book, and what do we have here? The main character getting off at the train station and just happened to be wearing the exact same outfit that Ivanka is wearing in front of the clock tower. I mean, that's 2 for 2. That's insane. I mean, there's definitely a connection here of some sort of coincidence. But wait, let's see what else we can do with this. Now back to the cover of the book. I mean, look at the sky in the background. It's practically the same sky as in the Paris photos from Ivanka's Instagram. Again, probably just purely coincidental. You have Ivanka's Instagram with Jared looking at the mirror, the glass. I mean, literally the looking glass, okay? The yellow background, and she just happens to write, reflecting on a new year with the yellow heart. Now, why the yellow heart? Yellow heart is Q in the color code. We've seen Melania do this with the yellow dress, and now Ivanka with the yellow heart. Again, signaling Q, the color. Now, with all this going on with the Instagram photos and the looking glass ideas and all kinds of stuff like that, the clothing, time travel, how do we take all that and connect it to a Q post, okay? Now, Ivanka's Instagram posted at 5:48 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There just happens to be a Q post with the words "Racing Around the World" in it. The date of that Q post is May 4th, 2018, which is 548. And it's Q post 1317, which has to do with John Kerry secretly meeting with Iran to salvage a deal. This is the same time period where Iran was having all kinds of stuff going on with Soleimani and it was in the news. So I was like, okay, that's relevant. But look at this. Riri drops today. JK and Iran, important context for future news. Why is Hussein JK traveling worldwide, and meeting with foreign heads of state, some enemies of the U.S.? HRC BC flying under the radar, same unreported. Why? 2. Former President's Secretary of State's out of power authority racing around the world. Pre-post POTUS. Why? Unprecedented? The world is connected. The world is watching. Q. And you have to remember that John Kerry met with those Iranians in Paris, nonetheless, okay, Karazi, and which undermined the Logan Act back in May 13th, 2018, which is, what, 8 days after this Q post? Let's jump back inside the book. There's a photo of a train in the lower corner, okay? This train looks familiar. Charles Delskow was one of America's earliest known visionary artists who created drawings, collages, and watercolors of airplanes, airships, and bound them in 12 known large scrapbooks that were discovered decades after his death. Now, within this collection of the series is a few that stood out. One was a drawing of Homer Trump, and it shows these aircrafts, okay? So Homer Trump, what's that? I don't know. But look at this one. It's a train with the name Trump on it from the 1920s. I mean, this almost looks identical to the train that's in this book, Race Around the World. But if you look closer, there's a boy in the window. Baron? I don't know. And look at the front of the train. Does that not look like a Trump? I mean, the face, the yellow hair, holding something, but it's just interesting that this name Trump, it's a train, and there's two characters in it that look really, really familiar. I'll definitely have to do another video on this Delkow character, this artist, and the connections between the time period, what was going on, a certain aero club which had elitist engineers, scientists, private funding, where some of this experimental aircraft might have been actually been built. So I'll have to get into that a little bit later. Now, you can't forget the previous book, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, which just happens to have to do with a young fellow embarks on time-traveling adventures through human history, named Baron Trump, who is led by someone named Don, and is written, coincidentally, by someone named Ingersoll Lockwood. Ingersoll, as in the watch, Alice in Wonderland, which coincidentally is placed at 45 John Street in New York, has watches named Trump in the collection of watches, has the name Keystone in the collection of watches, and yeah, just coincidentally, Ivanka's hinting at this other book which has to do with racing around the world and time. So what does this all mean? I'm under the impression that the Trump family has had this technology, Looking Glass, quantum teleportation, any sort of chronovision, since, you know, John Trump's the uncle got the Tesla papers, and they've been using this to save America, save the world, and that maybe Trump's children are using this technology, and we're starting to see this mix in with today's timeline through these hints in the books in the past. And like I said, none of this would have been possible without Q saying Project Looking Glass, going forward in order to look back. Time travel is fun. Or so there's a lot of things coming up, and I think we got to keep our eyes open to this. And I know a lot of people don't want to believe it. It's hard to believe, and you're crazy, but I mean, imagine the technology through DARPA, through secret programs of history, the technology that's been suppressed is starting to come to light. And I think that's what Space Force is going to do, and Donald Trump's second term, is we're going to start seeing, hopefully, some of this technology emerge.